One of our next guests, ladies and gentlemen, is so resilient. He actually brought his own chair.
Should we do that for all our guests? You can be on the show, but you got to bring your own chairs.
Yeah, why don't you?
BYOC
You
hero.
want to fill in for a few minutes here, sir?
There you go. Hold the microphone up so they hear you. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, our good friend Mark Hoffman. Mark, thank you for filling in and joining us for a few minutes.
You sound out of breath. Did you run here?
Well, you get to be my age, walking across the hall. It could be a little much. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been doing business continuity and crisis management consulting. I have a boutique consulting firm that my wife and I run, and we have clients, fortunate to have clients all over the world, U.S., Caribbean. The Caribbean ones are, we like those too.
You have to travel to those ones, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Europe, and we're just, blessed to be able to be involved in different things. And it's work that I just like so much. I just don't ever feel like, any of these days are work days. And then also co-founder, managing partner of the Resilience Think Tank, which is very exciting. I think it's a revolutionary view of the resilience industry and shaping the future of resilience, and being an ally for our colleagues to be able to provide insight or guidance or support. And so many of our people, our colleagues, and we're here at the conference to talk to so many people who are in this situation right now. Very small teams, and they didn't plan on a life of being in business continuity. As hard as this might be to imagine, they didn't have posters of James Green and Mark Hoffman on their wall when they were growing up saying, "Man,"
but they should have.
Yeah, they should have.
But they should have.
They should have. But I can't help, reality. And what I like about it is, they were a project manager or an admin, and they became, responsible for business continuity. So we like to help them from the perspective of giving them the support that they need, the resources that they need, the content that they need to help develop them into not just, okay, I'm good enough to get by, but good enough to really excel at this and to really make a difference.
Awkward confession, but my parents actually have a painting of Bob Arnold in their living room. So
I don't know how to respond to that.
Neither do I.
I pride myself of
that's the first time I've ever said something that rendered both of you speechless. Yeah, so that is really the pinnacle of my week.
I spend a lot of time in crisis communication and statement writing and speech writing, and I got nothing for that.
I don't even know how to transition there. Mark, you mentioned crisis communication. Now, you ran a very interesting workshop on Saturday, a pre-conference workshop at DRJ. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that, and maybe in particular the live or the realistic thing that you ran, because that was one of the coolest things I've seen in a workshop in quite some time.
That's really cool. Thank you for saying that. I communicate for a living, you can tell. It's probably, I think, my favorite workshop to run. So what we're doing is effective crisis management response to a cyber event. So this has nothing to do with technology. It's not forensics. It's not bits and bytes and understanding how to remediate the network. This is the business side of a cyber event. Crisis management, communicating, bringing in legal, privacy, insurance, making good decisions. And the whole point of what we do is based on the idea of pre-planning and anticipation. So it starts with a clear understanding of decisions that you're likely to make during a cyber event. For example, are we willing to pay ransom? You don't want to be having that debate across your executive team, your crisis management team, for the very first time while the clock is ticking and your systems are locked up.
Right.
You need to know this stuff ahead of time. But we encourage people to set their default position. We're going to start with no, we're not inclined to pay a ransom. But also realize that there are things that could happen that could change your mind. And in that workshop, we used the city of Baltimore, for example, from 2019, they had a ransom and ransom demand, and they decided not to pay, and they stuck with that, and it took them months and months and months to recover, and a whole lot more than the original ransom demand. And so what we did as part of that workshop is we created our own pretend company and then hacked it and had people enact different roles as part of the exercise, as part of the workshop. It's a lot of fun, and it flew by.
And you actually held a press conference.
Yeah, we did. So, yeah, pardon the evil laugh there, but part of my real life solution is to write templates as part of our crisis communication guidelines. And James, you and I have worked on some of these things together. And, you know, the idea here is that you write the template, you have the basis for what you want to say, and then you just fill in the details of the event, and you know you're way ahead of the game. And so we provided our participants with a template, and then we provided the other table of participants with questions and answers, preparing our company spokesperson. And so based on the ransom and based on the scenario, we had them write their own statement, and then James, you and I had the luxury of asking difficult questions and seeing how prepared they were based on the tools that we had given them. It's a lot of fun. It can be nerve-wracking for the people who have to do the mock press conference.
Yeah, I thought we did a good job. But then yesterday, Regina Phelps told us that what did she say, Alex? She likes to make people cry.
Make them cry.
And we didn't make anyone cry in the press conference.
But you were close.
So no, sadly not.
No, I don't think so. No. But what was interesting about it is, so the person who was the spokesperson used the word. They said in part of their response that we were sure that the data has not been compromised. And other participants in the room were like, whoa, 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 you can't say that. Don't say the word sure. And what I liked about that is it showed the involvement and it showed the importance of nuance of words. Words matter, and the selection of words matter, and that's what. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Mark, you're doing a presentation later today, and your co-presenter actually just walked up, so I'm going to throw a microphone at her and see how resilient she is.
I'd prefer you just hand her the microphone.
Well, it's not as dramatic.
Could you give me the privilege of introducing her, please?
Sure.
I can and I will.
All right. So during DRJ Fall in September, I was sitting next to Lisa Jones.
That's a tie. How'd you get in that inner circle?
I won the lottery.
Okay.
So for any of you who have ever sat next to or walked down the hall next to Lisa Jones, what you have to realize is when people come up to you, you're invisible. They say, "Oh, Lisa, hi, Lisa. It's wonderful to see Lisa." And it is. It's always wonderful to see Lisa. And by the way, I want to interject. Congratulations to Lisa for an excellent job as our MC, and her comments yesterday were so powerful. And she talked about standing with her ancestors and overcoming, and I was just so proud of her, and a shout out to her.
Wonderful.
But anyhow, finally, when this person who turned around and said hi to Lisa got done, whatever it was with Lisa, we got to introduce each other. And so Steph McCluskey, we got talking, and she had mentioned that she had never presented at a conference like this, but she had a wonderful topic. And I said, well, I've presented before. I can help you get selected. Kind of audacious, but I said, I can help you get selected. We'll go with your topic. And that meeting right there was the most valuable interaction I had from DRJ Fall. And so since then, we came up with our idea, we submitted, we were accepted, and we've been working on it together. And it's been really, really a cool thing for me to be part of this with her. So I'm happy to be doing it with you.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
So, and Mark knows his strengths because the audacious we're going to present together, it happened. He Sherpa'd through the process. So it's been really fun, a new experience for me.
Well, what did you talk about? What was your topic?
So our topic initially was just talking about legacy to velocity. So thinking about in the multi-generational workplace, we have people with different mindsets, different experiences that they're bringing into the workspace and the work group. And I really wanted to talk about how do we communicate, how do we catalyze the experience mixed with maybe the newer people that might have more energy or curiosity. I haven't been told no 100 times yet or 1,000 times. And so how do you get those different energies in a room together, and rather than have tension or confrontation, have it be build into something great?
So that's pretty powerful. So yesterday, Alex, you inferred that some of our guests might be old, and they weren't particularly happy about that. Steph said that certain generations have more energy.
So they might.
They might.
Because words
It's a
matter.
much better phrase, and I'm going to take that phrase.
Hey, I had suggested to Steph that we were the Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga of DRJ. And she pointed out that, and she was very kind. She said, no, you're not as old as Tony Bennett. And then it also turns out she can't sing anywhere near like Lady Gaga. So
Yeah, turns out one of the few that can't meet Lady Gaga on stage.
So, Steph, for our audience who may not know you or be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I thought that I had a unique backstory, but the more people I meet, the more that I notice we have a lot of first responders that find their way into resiliency. Turns out we're helpers and problem solvers who maybe stay calm under pressure. So I came from law enforcement. I worked for nearly 7 years as a sheriff's deputy and joined Boeing as an emergency manager and transitioned into business continuity as a project manager, which I loved. And I very recently moved into GRC program management. So really, I'm here, to present, but also to figure out how I can continue being a bridge. We all talk about silos a lot in business continuity. I think it's company-wide that, everyone gets in their work groups and head down and are doing their work. And now that I've jumped over into GRC, I definitely think there's opportunities to continue working with business continuity and resiliency. And so figuring out where those bridges are now.
And how do you feel about being in business continuity overall?
I love being in business continuity. I think that's probably why I'm still reaching my hand out, even though I'm on a new team, is, you can't stress enough, I think, how important it is, but also how hidden it can be. We touch every part of the company. And I am noticing with, operational resilience, thinking about how we can present and provide data that is helpful to our customers, being other teams in the company. And I think the more we can do that, the better, right? Is to show, hey, I have all this information and it can actually inform really great decisions for other teams.
What's been the biggest surprise as you've moved from emergency management to GRC? Or has there been something that you weren't maybe expecting when you made that transition?
I think feeling a little bit more removed from the tactical, tangible impact. And so I hope that I can still make an impact. But also what's interesting is I feel a little heavier responsibility, because when I make decisions, they're going to flow down to other people. My decisions aren't only impacting my small site-based team now. My decisions are potentially going to make work more difficult or easier for maybe 100 people. So I'm taking that very seriously. Hopefully, the folks that I am impacting would say the same. But I think that's been a big change, is maybe moving a little bit slower and with more intention, knowing that my ripple effect has grown.
I have a question for both of you, because we'll talk about age here. Mark, you have been around for 1 or 2 years in the industry.
A minute.
and Steph being new. And there's a lot of talk of bringing different generations together to learn experiences. How was it working together? What did you learn from each other?
I'll go first. We talked about that just this morning. Do you know which one of us is the lead on this project?
I'm going to say Steph.
No, it's neither one of us, actually.
Oh,
We
good.
talked about that this morning. Neither one of us took a sort of a higher role. It's been a peer collaboration from the beginning. And Steph had the idea, she had the content. We decided that's what, we wanted to do it. We loved it. And we are the perfect pair for this, because it's not so much about which camp are you in. Are you a legacy person? Are you a velocity person? But it's bridging that gap and working together. And that's exactly what we've done. Real quick, I'll let you go. The secret to good collaboration is that it needs to be a partnership. It needs to be equal and it needs to be respectful. And I've been dealing with people where that's not always the case. There are people who will try to collaborate with you, but they'll try to dictate to you how it's going to go. And that's not what we've done. And I'm so happy that we were able to work on that together.
Yeah, and like Mark mentioned, I think something that he did that really, I think, made an impact for me is he stated intention right out the gate. He said, Steph, I think your idea is great, and I'm not going to steal it from you. I want to do this with you. And for me, I was, thinking, great, because I don't know how to walk this road. And so I'm going to rely on you and trust you to get us to that finish line that we've mutually agreed is our goal. And through every session, he's right, we didn't have an overt lead. We both very much respected each other and the experiences that we've had. And I think that's probably the key to doing collaboration. I think we talk about collaboration a lot, and in our session, we'll get more in detail with this. But collaboration isn't something you talk about, it's something you do. And we are the perfect example of that with coming together on this presentation, where it really is, we brought both of our skills to the table and it catalyzed into something even better than either of us could have done alone.
Wonderful.
I'd love to hear from both of you. So we're in day 3 here in Orlando. What are your impressions so far of DRJ Spring and this conference?
This conference is extremely well organized, I would say. That's one of the big takeaways. I have been to a lot of conferences in the public sector, and so I would say, and also the food is great. But
the food has definitely been great this week.
But more so the content too. I've made incredible connections with really smart people from many different industries. And to me, I think that's one of the most important things we can do is get out of our echo chambers, put our head up and on a swivel, which is law enforcement talk, but really look around and there is value to be found from every single individual here.
I don't do impressions, but if I did, I would want to do a good Christopher Walken impression. I think that would be really cool. You asked about impressions.
Yes.
For me, I just want to give a shout out to Bob, and I don't have a painting of him. I'm sorry about that, but DRJ is the best resilience conference in the world. I mean, in the world. And for me, it's the interaction with people. And I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. I have always considered myself to be an introvert and didn't want to walk into crowds. Don't look at me like that. But the most value that I've had here is chatting with people over breakfast or at a reception or whatever. And it's just like what happened between you and me and at the fall one. So it's the people.
Well, you never know who you run into, who you meet in these conferences, because the very first live broadcast I did back in Phoenix is where I met James.
Oh, wow.
When his headset wouldn't work
I was
properly
gonna say,
all the
Alex
time.
played a prank on me. I was a guest on his broadcast, and my headset was dead, so I couldn't hear what anyone was saying.
Yeah.
It probably didn't even degrade the quality of my answers to his questions, to be honest.
It was testing your resilience.
All right, so Mark and Steph, 2 final questions. One, for people who are listening today who are on site, what time is your session today?
So it's at 1:30 this afternoon, so right after lunch. So we're expecting bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, well-fed people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then if people want to learn more about either one of you or connect with either of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, I think it's LinkedIn, and for sure it's LinkedIn. I also want to say this for people who are not on site today. Steph is going to be next week's guest on the Resilient Journey podcast.
Oh, nice. Timing works.
I know we're
perfect.
going to irritate your listeners who think we're competitors. So
We're not.
Them on there. But we're going to be talking a little bit more about this whole bridging the gap between legacy and velocity. So look for us on LinkedIn. You can look for me through the think tank or through the podcast. We're everywhere.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us, guys. Mark, always great to have you on, and wonderful to meet you, Steph.
Say, Steph, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Let me just say, for those of you who are listening live, stay tuned, because I've seen the next guest, and you're going to want to listen for that.
That's exciting because I don't even know who the next guest is. So now I'm excited.
Didn't they just walk
I
by?
do, yes.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah, they
Yes,
just walked by.
Yes, they did walk
And
by.
man, you want to hear like a good radio voice? Stay tuned for that one.
He does
Oh,
have a
really?
radio
Oh, good.
voice,
Yeah.
yes.
Better than ours?
Oh, much better.
Better
much,
than
much
mine.
better than mine, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Steph.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.